Hi, hello. I don't really do movie reviews on here all that often. Movie scripts take extra time and footage hunting, and it's not usually worth it for something I didn't enjoy. But sometimes, if there's enough hate in me, that will get me through it. As you no doubt saw in the thumbnail, this is going to be about my thoughts on the Borderlands movie. Was it atrocious in and of itself? Not quite. I can say it was at least more enjoyable to watch than the Monster Hunter movie. Was it an affront to the Borderlands franchise, though? Yes, it was. So, what's my experience, my connection to Borderlands? I've played through the first one and its DLCs multiple times. I've played through Borderlands 2 multiple times, and I've played some of the DLC for Borderlands 2, but would not stake my reputation on confirming whether I finished any of them. They just weren't as interesting to me as Dr. Ned, who is super not evil Dr. Zed. Um, God, I love that man. I did backseat watch someone play a bit of the pre-sequel for a while, but quit that boring piece of crap game pretty quick. And I own but have not played Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's. And that's your fault, viewers, for not liking and subscribing, so I can do this as a real job, okay? Chop chop. But yeah, I'm pretty attached to the original cast of characters, so let's start our discussion with that. God bless Jack Black for putting character into Claptrap with his voice and as an actor outside of production once he saw the direction the film was taking and refused to promote it. What a guy. But yeah, Claptrap was about the only redeeming part of the film. He did have some cute, crude quips, which I enjoyed. Krieg was fine as a grunty side character. I don't personally know what his relation to Tina is, if there is one, pre-written, that is. Marcus was admittedly a well-done rendition. I don't know why they even bothered casting characters like Scooter, Ellie, and even Hammerlock if they weren't going to show up except in the background shot for a couple seconds at the end, but I digress. Roland was an insulting cast choice, among many, but in his case, they specifically chose an actor to contradict the original character. I think comedians are more than capable of playing serious roles, but Kevin Hart did not bring that to the table. Sure, he was less of a funny guy than usual, but all the way down to the inflection of his voice was uncharacteristic to Roland. Roland is a straight shooter, not a funny bone in his body. Like, he's supposed to be serious to a fault. When Lilith jokes with him in the game or flirts, it more often than not completely goes over Roland's head. Speaking of which, narrowing the cast down so much and choosing to include Roland and Lilith, why didn't we get any of that dynamic, that chemistry? Oh, well, it's also because Lilith was miscast. There are moments when Cate Blanchett does a perfectly fine job being a badass. Sulky, sultry, and I don't want this to come off as a comment on the actress's age, although I don't know what their excuse is for that either, but just personality-wise, Lilith is youthful. Not in a childish way, in the that was a wicked shot I just got, call me a badass kind of way. Most of the cast of Borderlands is like that. The whole storyline with Lilith being a siren could have been fine, but it felt so disconnected. It was integral to the plot, considering everyone thought Tina was one instead, and I almost gave the writers credit for the misdirect of Lilith phase walking and everyone assuming Tina did it. But the whole abandoned child storyline was so pathetically brought together. There was no emotion, no weight. It felt like an explanation more than a reveal. And I'm not even talking about the OP bullshit they pull at the ending. I'm just talking about how underdeveloped Lilith's relationship with her mother and her childhood was. Like, who cared? Who cared about this character either? Like, why was she even written in? Why was Atlas the main villain? Handsome Jack as a villain is already literally written into Tina's tragic origin story, so why swap him out for someone so much lamer? I'm not gonna harp on the child actor, I'm sure she did her best. The script just wasn't written to actually accentuate Tina, her craziness. She was so mild-mannered in the movie comparatively because, well, you can't have a character like Tina as a main character in a movie if you want things to flow correctly. She's goddamn chaos. But the one character that really ground my goddamn gears when it came to casting was Tannis. Tannis is one of my all-time favorite waifus. I adore her. I'm sure that Jamie Lee Curtis did exactly as she was directed, but the writers of the Borderlands movie didn't understand who Tannis from the games really was. Oh, she's antisocial. Let's make her hesitant and anxious sounding. No, Tannis is antisocial and proud. She doesn't care what others think and doesn't need them. They're all pawns. She would never go on this fucking adventure in the first place. She can barely be arsed to help you in the games. My gripes about the character casting aside, the movie was just poorly slapped together. It felt like they don't understand what payoff means. I'm trying to decide whether to go over Roland's non-sacrifice scene or their more mundane travels. Okay, so here's just a super obvious example of how the movie makers don't understand logic or tension. The gang ends up in this sewer area with super toxic acid. Tina acts like a reckless kid and hurries onto the rusty, falling apart walkway because all of the adults are being hesitant pussies. She almost falls, Krieg saves her, we successfully completed the "oh no, are they gonna fall in?" line of worry. Almost, effectively too, might I add. It would have been perfectly fine left at that, but they extended it. We have to watch all of the characters cross over the acid river for some reason. And this doesn't work because, one, tension is over for the audience. We've already done that potential outcome, that bit. But two, they try to manufacture tension by having all the fully grown adults walk on the pathway that couldn't support a child a foot apart from each other. I'm not worried they're going to fall in. I want them to. Why would you make the characters such fucking idiots just to milk some non-existent tension? That, in essence, is what's wrong with the Borderlands movie. They bastardized beloved characters rather than write them into their own already likable, pre-existing personalities, and then phoned it in on writing an actual movie too. Like, can you even call it an action scene if it's just a bunch of psychos pouring into a room unarmed and getting gunned down by the main characters like it's literally nothing? I would say that the Borderlands movie tried to do too many things, so it ended up not doing any of them well, but I don't know if I can give them that much credit. Left to choose between a fulfilling backstory for Lilith that lets her bond with Tina and a general action movie with some cool scenes, I still don't think they do either one well if that was all they had to do, considering how frankly awful some of the choices made were. I'm getting increasingly skeptical of where all the money for these big Hollywood flops is coming from. $110 million to make this movie. Where did it go? Certainly not to a board of writers that know the original content, that's for sure. Not for screenplay or storyboard writers who know better than to produce this. Please stop bastardizing franchises for a quick buck. You have more than enough funds to do it well, which makes it even more insulting when it isn't. I mean, it's not even a quick buck. These types of movies are hemorrhaging money, so I want to know who the fuck keeps greenlighting them, and can I have their job? I am serious. Please contact me. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't give the Borderlands movie your time. Go play the games. Bye.